and one of the struggles I've had in the craft of storytelling is I struggle most, and always did, especially with screenwriting, being so inside of the thing that I couldn't look at it like how an audience would.
Yeah.
It was really difficult.
I wonder,
for me.
I'm genuinely curious if anybody's watching, like, what is your experience? Like, what is the common experience? Is it it pulls you back, or is it a lost?
Or sort of a disassociation.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I hope that doesn't sound negative. Like,
I think that's a pretty accurate description. I think I completely if I look at a project that I did, years ago or something, I don't know that person anymore. Like, that's not me anymore.
Yeah.
Not that I've, changed drastically or anything, but it's just not the person I am anymore. So I find it like you're meeting somebody new.
I wonder if that sort of speaks to some of the differences between us and how we not approach, but how we conjure up the work. And this is not like we talked about in the previous episode, not like you're one or the other, but I have always had the sense from you, especially watching the work that I have seen of yours, in particular, some of your YouTube content, there's just such a strong connection to the craft. Whereas I feel like I am so much of just like the raw emotion when I make this stuff. We joked in other episodes, think it, feel it, send it. Like, craft doesn't factor in because I'm like so enamored with the fact that I had these feelings and wondered these things and just like came up with this thing. I wrote this thing, or I shot these clips, or I, edited this thing together, and like just let that state of rawness then make me just put it out there. Mm-hmm. And that to me, and I'm not saying that is the case, but I'm wondering if there's us occupying more of one side of the spectrum than the other, and if that, in your instance, makes it so you can look back on your work more objectively, whereas I just get swept up in the emotions again and in the throes of the storm again.
Yeah.
And I'm like right back to add this and change this and move this over here, and what if this and and just can't.
I wonder if it's a learned thing too. Like, because now that I think about it, I don't know if that's excuse me. I don't know if that's naturally the case, or if you always listen to people where they're like, we shot this and then I had to go away for two months and then we came back and we did the edit. So I wonder if it's just absorbing that kind of thinking over time that led to the more disassociative.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I have a hard time looking at work immediately after, whether that's something filmed, something written, something photographed. I don't play music or anything, but I'm sure there's a similar dynamic at play.
Yeah. Now, I don't want anybody to be confused. Like, I can, there's been a couple videos that I've made that are, they're certainly not the work, but it's a little bit more storytelling than just like a tutorial or whatever.
Yeah.
And I've, taken 2 days away from an edit and then come back and go, oh, this is a little redundant, or this part is just, I feel the energy dip. Like, I can have some measurement.
Yeah. I don't think we're talking about like the fit, like the manifestation of craft in terms of like technical process. Yeah. We're talking more about just this, how we philosophically, or just a broader approach to the work. Yeah. I think I disassociate. And I mean, if I read something that I wrote 4 years ago, it's like I might as well be reading something in a newspaper. Yeah. Or on, like, there's no, let's warp back into this person.
Yeah. And I think
it's more, so it's exciting in a way, because I'm like, oh wow, that's an interesting idea. Or like, wow, that's interesting. I haven't thought about that. And it's like, oh wait, I did think about that, obviously.
That's crazy.
But I have had the experience before where like I'll read through something and I'll be like, oh my gosh, I need to write that down. And I'm like, oh wait, I already did. And not that it's something that's, but it's just grabbing at what's there in the moment and putting it down and then moving completely to something else. So it's just interesting to hear your experience is kind of the opposite.
Yeah, completely.
That's exciting.
Yeah, I mean, I can read. I went through and read some journal entries from high school. Last year, and I vividly remember sitting there writing this stuff and what I felt.
Took you back to the
like
moment.
Big emotional recall, and I'm not. This is just journaling. It's not crafting a story and all that. But the same thing happens with a lot of my stories, even to the point where like if I read a screenplay that felt like it was more like I'm writing what the producers want the story to be.
Yeah.
There's still emotional recall of what I want to do with the story versus what I feel like I have to do to please these authority figures.
Yeah.
But then also the emotion of what I think this thing is about. Like it all just comes right back to the surface. And that's part of what makes it difficult for me to let go of some of that past work. I mean, I was just thinking the other day about rewriting a script that I wrote 8 years ago, and not like a page one rewrite, but it's sort of, I read Updike and I'm like, I'm seeing how I can improve my story and throw out all this junk that got added in when other people got involved. Because I'm like, I still think about these ideas. I still have these questions. I still grapple with these things with myself. And because of what I saw Updike do with Harry Engstrom, and me projecting and telling a story about what his experience in his life was and how it filtered into this character and the story that he wrote, I want to go even deeper in a more meaningful way, exploring these ideas and questions, and do it with more command and craft, like he did with his story.
It had been a golden afternoon, and I remember having the familiar conviction that life was beginning over again with the summer.